I didn't been one of those guys that you really can't talk to. And I ain't no girl, I ain't gonna tweet you or nothing like that, but you see what I'm saying? But I played the game. And it's time out for that, man. I got young cousins, young brothers in the streets. And the only two places they're gonna be is either jail or dead. And I'm not burying a family member. I don't even have to know you. It's serious business, y'all. We can't play with this. And let's not waste all afternoon and all night, you know, being cute. It's time to be real, man.
I think we have a brother back here. Want to add something?
I don't know if I want to step out. But nah, man. Back up what you were saying, man. Like that's kind of real because I moved to Huntsville. I came out to grad school in 2013, and when I came down here with so much baggage in my heart. You know what I'm saying? I came down here, man, like not trusting nobody. Like I'm from Memphis, no Memphis, yeah. But I came down here, man, with like so much on me, so much pressure. I'm 22 at the time. You know what I'm saying? I ain't know where to go. You know what I'm saying? My dad, like growing up with my dad, man, it was like he was there, he was in my life, but he never like showed his emotion. He told me he loved me twice my whole life. I'm 24 years old. But then it's crazy how like when God like is really for you. Like I got down here, God, and I promise you, bro, God, He surrounded me around some good people, some good men. You know what I'm saying? That told me it's okay to cry. I got locked up, bro, I ain't know where to go. But God placed the right people in my life at the right time. And the thing is, when they seen me crying, they was like, bro, cry, get this stuff out your system. I was telling them what I was going through. They was like, guess what? God is still good. He's still gonna make a way. And I was like, I didn't know I didn't know what to do. But the thing is, man, I knew, man, it was nobody but God to surround those people in my life to save me. Like my man said, he here by grace. I'm here by grace too, man. The same dude that pulled a gun out on me, man. It's the same dude that came to my hand, shook my hand, told me to keep doing what you're doing. I'm here by grace. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, God, like, look, whatever you need me to do, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when I started like telling the people who you placed in my life what was really going on with me, and they wasn't judging me, I was like, man, like it's real. So God, I want to be able to show this same type of love to other guys out here. Yeah. So I open, bro. I promise you, dog. Like I would really open up the door. Like when I'm on campus, bro, I open up the door and I tell this guy, bro, whatever it is you're dealing with, don't be afraid to come to me. Now, if you can't come to me, if you can reach somebody that's in our group, go to them and talk to them. Like, we're not going to judge you. We're not going to talk behind your back. We're going to love you, man, because God is love. Why can't we love another brother? You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, when I really got to experience that love, I was like, man, God, I'm going to do whatever it takes to show this same type of love to somebody else. So, man, man, you 20 years old, bro. Like, whatever you're dealing with, man, go to somebody who you know you can trust. Go to somebody, man, and guess what? The thing is, what really I knew was really real. It was like when my boys, man, my homies, like they started praying for me. I thought I was shocked. I was like, y'all praying for little old me? They was praying for me, but then it's like now I understand the power of prayer. You know what I'm saying? Because I started looking at life different. I started looking at, and I started realizing my life is not my own. So I understand. Okay, I understood. Like, man, look, we gonna like one thing about our men's group, we pray. That's what we do. We pray because we know, man, like God gonna hear our prayers. We know there's somebody out there going through something, but we may not know their name, but we know their face and we can lift them up. So, man, just stay encouraged, bro. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in here, stay encouraged. Just know God got us all, man.
I just want to say one thing, man. I just want to let y'all know I'm really enjoying myself here, man. This is really powerful with all these brothers coming together, man, and speaking and I just want to have a raise a hand. How many of y'all learned something tonight? Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. How many of y'all would like to see more of these events? More of these events going in? Awesome. Awesome. Now, y'all should make sure y'all sow into this man ministry, man, because he really cares about what he does. Like, he goes above and beyond for these kids. Yeah. And, you know, bringing us together, man, I want y'all to give a round of applause for the man in the house. I appreciate you. This has really been therapy for me.
Just one thing. I paused. There's a question that I ask now. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Michael L. Cook from Columbia University, and the question that he posed in a forum that I was in is, why are our stories so similar? You know, if walls could talk, I don't care whether I live on the mountain, another person live in the valley. If walls could truly talk, we would discover that our stories are closer than we think. And our frustrations are more similar than we think. The only difference is that we've all chosen different coping mechanisms. We've decided to cope with the reality differently. I'm so proud of Willie and him stepping out and doing this and starting this forum. I go back to that question, why are our stories so similar? Why are they so similar? And I believe that there's a greater, a larger discussion that we need to have that we oftentimes don't deal with. And I represent the church, and I really believe that the church is the one that really has the moral authority to push this and moral responsibility to have this particular conversation. And that is a conversation about the reality and how we have been forced to manage with the reality of being black men in America. And although it's uncomfortable, I thank God for I thank God for Stan. I love Stan. But there's about, 400 years of things that you've got to deal with that then just go away overnight. Some of these frustrations and our responses to life, no one taught you that or taught him. It's not like you're in the same classroom and responded to life the same way because somebody taught both of you how to do that. It's simply that we're coping with the reality that, and this is the reason I bring this up, because we look at life oftentimes, and most of these things we're talking about are just branches. They're just branches. Your branch, this person's branch, that person's branch. But if we really want to get to solutions for the tree, we got to get to the root. But that conversation is somewhat uncomfortable. I don't know why it's uncomfortable, but it's uncomfortable. We don't want to have it, but we got to have that conversation if we really want to get to a healthy place. All the other things, the band-aids, and real healing is dirty work. It's not. I'm not talking about band-aid stuff.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about really, if we really want to get to the bottom, so that your sons, our nephews, and our grandsons don't have to deal with this same thing. Because the reality is, we're going to find one of those coping mechanisms. That's how we're going to cope with it. Dr. Cook, I'll share this with you. I have my iPad because I like this. He has basically four basic ways that the African American male has chosen to cope with this reality. One is sexuality. The second one is achievement. Third one is assimilation, and the fourth one is destruction. And those are the four coping mechanisms that he suggests. And those four, and I really agree with this picture that he painted. But the challenge with this is that whichever one of those coping mechanisms that you've chosen to deal with this reality, and I've sort of explained it, sexuality is somewhat expresses itself. A guy is just, people call that guy the dog, you're sleeping around, whether male or female, but it's sexuality. Achievement is that person that's decided that I'm going to become this in life, and I'm going to achieve, and that's going to make me acceptable. That's the way I'm going to cope with it. But that frustration comes when that man has chosen to achieve in life, and he's achieved the greatest thing that he can achieve within life, but he still has to deal with reality that he's a black man in America because something happens. A good example of that is Professor Skip Gates, a brilliant man. He got arrested on his own front porch, his own house. Man, that man has to deal with that reality. You understand what I'm saying? And then you got the similar, but the challenge and the destruction. Destruction is a young man that's on the street. He just, why are they burning up their own things, and why are they tearing up their own city? We say those things in talking about them, but the thing that he painted so vivid is that if we could just appreciate the reality that they've chosen a coping mechanism, but it may not be my coping mechanism, but they're coping with the same thing. And if we can somehow have a conversation with that conversation with mutual respect for one another, meaning, brother, I don't agree with your coping mechanism, I don't agree with it, but we have the same narrative, and we're coping with the same reality, and we got to deal with life from that. And I think that, I really believe that forums like this, and I believe that the church, you know, is that place that have that moral authority, moral responsibility to really have that conversation about why are our stories so similar? Why our story, when we're born in all different parts of the country, our family structures look different, but our stories are so similar. It's because we're connected to that same root. And it's not a bad root. We've come a long ways, and we celebrate where we've come from. We celebrate the progress. There's been a lot of progress. However, the trauma of that history still exists. And if I'm going to deal with you, and I really want you to get to healing, I've got to be willing to get to the root, and the root is ugly. The trauma is ugly. And I close with this, you know, he said this to us, and I'll close with this, you know, and we know this in our theology, that we live in Sunday. In church, we live in Sunday. Every preacher understands the importance. If you're going to preach, you're going to say anything about Jesus, you got to get the early Sunday morning. Right? You got to get to Sunday. We live in Sunday. We want everybody to live in Sunday. But the reality is most of our brothers are living in Friday. They're stuck somewhere between Friday and Saturday. And we're not willing to go and sit in Friday with them. We want to stay. We want to live in Sunday. But Friday is not pretty. But we got to be willing. If we really want solutions. Now, if we just want to, you know, if I want to feel good and get over and say, think I got some clever cliches, some stuff to post, and you know, we can say, well, man, that guy's deep and that type stuff. But man, there's a lot of deep dying brothers out here. Right. You know, a lot of deep dying brothers. We're not a shortage of information, but no one wants to really roll up our sleeves and say, okay, it's some ugly work. It's going to get some muddy stuff. We're not going to agree on our approach on everything, but we're managing the same trauma. And we're going to get some healing in this. And I believe that one of my challenges is I believe that we can bring, it's not just the black brothers and white brothers, but we come to the table together and have an honest conversation about that reality. And we have an honest conversation about that reality, then we're going to be able to start seeing some real healing. We don't see these things repeated over and over and over again in our family.